Hey, the support team confirmed there's a new patch coming soon that will resolve an issue with the Eruptor. Also, the Arrowhead CEO in a recent interview spoke the truth about the gaming industry. Not only that, he gave his thoughts on Sony, but he also brought up how millions of Call of Duty players went to Helldivers 2, and there's so much more I'll be going over. So if you find this video helpful at any point, hit the like and subscribe button and turn on notifications if you haven't already. Alright Helldivers, we've got great news. The Eruptor is indeed bugged, and the developers are set to drop a new patch soon to tackle the problem. The evidence comes from a support team member who responded to a player after this guy submitted a support ticket about the Eruptor. This Helldiver basically pointed out that the shrapnel isn't functioning properly. It's firing back at us instead of in the right direction. The support team confirmed they've investigated and fixed it. They're just holding off for the next patch to roll it out. There you have it, Helldivers. It looks like the Eruptor wasn't nerfed on purpose. They slipped up with the code and have now figured out a way to fix it. If I've got this right, we'll see a new patch either next Tuesday or the one after. Hope this clears things up for you and lets you rest easy knowing the Eruptor's on its way back to its former glory. Next up, we've got even better news mixed with a bit of bad news. The good news, we've won the battle on Malevelon, but there's a catch. The Jet Brigade has popped back up and they're now gunning for Populi. That's the bad news because it's pretty clear they're setting up for a straight shot at Malevelon Creek. You can see right here, all they need to do is hit this planet, and from there it's a direct line to Malevelon Creek. The fight's not over yet, Helldivers. We've got to stop the Jet Brigade from reaching the Severance sector. Our best move right now is to use the Democracy Space Station to fend off their attacks and block any push towards Malevelon Creek. I guarantee we can do it, we just got to be on the same page and stop it from happening. On a different note, I want to highlight a clip from a Discord member named Dr. Mug on the Glitch Unlimited Discord. You guys can join down below. Anyways, in this clip, you can see they've called down the extraction and there's supposed to be a pelican here, but the game glitched out, so it didn't spawn properly. He also sent me another clip where the extraction pod terminal dropped onto the planet, and instead of it hitting the ground, it just hovered there, which doesn't seem right at all. I've seen comments about this, but I've never caught it on video myself or had it happen to me. If you have run into this lately, drop a comment below and let me know exactly what went down. I'd also love to hear if you've spotted any new bugs since the latest patch. I'll make sure to feature a few of those comments in the next video. Continuing along, we have several questions Sham Georgiani, Arrowhead's CEO, spoke about in a recent interview with the gaming business. He discussed the challenges of running a live service game and how tough it was to explain to Sony Studio Business Group CEO Herman Holst why Helldivers 2 was struggling, plus what the team planned to do to turn things around. So here's what he said during the gaming business interview. Maybe the lowest point during my tenure so far, I had to explain to the CEO why things were in the state they were, and what we were going to do to recover. And I had to say the awkward truth that there is nothing we can do in the short term. But in the long term, we have plans that will get us back on track. Sure, it was tough for the CEO to explain why things went wrong. The cool part is that they put in the hard work on the 60-day patch last year, which totally turned the game around and made it way better. Now, in this interview, he brought up how games that get a 19% user score usually do not recover, yet they somehow managed to do it, and that's really cool. But that's not all that he had to say. During the gaming business interview, the CEO went on to say that 6 million Call of Duty players jumped over to Helldivers 2. Here's what he said specifically. So we did not make Helldivers for 6 million Call of Duty players, we absolutely didn't, but 6 million Call of Duty players bought our game, and they're interested in different things compared to, say, the audience that comes from Escape from Tarkov or Arma. It's sort of crazy to imagine that 6 million Call of Duty players hopped over to Helldivers 2, and it's interesting to hear that Call of Duty players are interested in different stuff compared to the other games mentioned. Anyways, he brought up how he was inspired by the No Man's Sky team and how they followed a similar path to Helldivers 2 getting tons of hype at the start, then just crashing and somehow finding a way to bounce back from that kind of setback. He also spoke on why they received backlash from the fanbase. He said, "The thing that had us lost was that we got away from the core fantasy of Helldivers. It literally says on the box, kill monsters with overpowered weapons, and in our strive to find balance, we ended up balancing the game in a way where the core fantasy died, and that's why we got the backlash." Yep, I'm sure a lot of you remember those dark days when the game got hit with a ton of changes. I think we all can agree the balancing was awful at the time, and as I've mentioned before, that 60-day patch that dropped last year totally saved the game and made it way better. Now, at some point in the interview, the CEO said that Genshin Impact team has 1,500 developers, and even that's not enough for players. He pointed out that despite rolling out cool updates, a new faction, and weapons for Helldivers 2, they still can't keep up, and said that nobody can. So yeah, that makes sense, especially when you've got 150 developers working on Helldivers 2. They're obviously limited in how much they can get done in a week. So I don't think anyone can hate on them for trying to keep up. It's tough to push out content and keep everything rolling when you're a small studio. Speaking of growing as a company, the CEO's cautious about it. He talked about how it can lead to bad outcomes and how developers can lose their jobs because of those outcomes. Here's what he said during the interview. "From my history, I know what happens when there's uncontrolled, very rapid growth. It can lead to disastrous effects. I want us to be a role model for how to do sustainable growth, because the industry today is not in a good place. A lot of companies are shedding a lot of jobs, and it's not the people at the top that are losing their jobs. It's people who have moved half across the world to take jobs, and that's because of bad growth decisions made by business leaders who have taken stupid risks." From that response, you could tell they're thinking about their employees and not trying to overwhelm the studio with changes that could really affect Arrowhead and their jobs. You've got to respect that. It's great to see them caring for their developers and other team members who are helping develop Helldivers 2. It's not like the top honchos at Arrowhead are just trying to stuff their wallets while screwing over the people below them, like the developers and designers and so on, right? I think that's awesome to see that coming from a CEO like Sham's. There's another response he gave about this that really shows how cool the CEO is. He made a solid point asking why some of these gaming studio executives don't step down or cut their own salaries. In the interview, he went on to say, "I wish that our industry hadn't shed almost 30, 40, 50,000 jobs over the past 2 years. A lot of people at the top were making very unsound business decisions, and there's very little accountability on their part. Who among these executives is stepping down or slashing their salaries?" So afterwards, he talked a bit more about what's going on in the gaming industry, pointing out that developers are losing their jobs because of studios growing too big. He mentioned that just because you can hire a ton of developers and people and designers and whatnot and expand your company in 6 months, doesn't mean you should. Shams also clarified that he's not against growth, but you shouldn't grow so much that one bad decision to increase studio size forces you to lay off half of your team. Not only did he speak on that, but he admitted that the reason why they're able to screw up as much as they have is because of the fan base and how we accept that they're only humans and that they're bound to make mistakes. Shams Georgiani stated, "One of the reasons we get away with screwing up from time to time is that we show people that we're still humans. Sometimes we have good days and sometimes we have bad days. And if people understand that there are humans on the other side, there's a little bit more understanding. And I think that we've built goodwill and trust that even if we fumble, they'll know we'll still do right by them." I've been saying for the longest time that the Helldivers 2 team are always ready to give back, especially when they mess up. For example, when the Killzone collaboration dropped last year, some fans weren't thrilled about it being stuck in the shop items. I said the developers were going to make it right, and sure enough, they ended up giving out the second page of items for free, including a sniper rifle, armor, and helmet. Besides that, he also shared his own thoughts about PlayStation, saying he assumed the relationship with Sony would be different. He went on to say, "I assumed with Sony having paid a lot of money for this project that they would run the show, more or less, because what do these wild kids here in Sweden know? but I've been very pleasantly surprised to see how creator-friendly PlayStation has been. Truly, truly impressive. I came into this thinking the relationship with PlayStation would be quite different. I know fans give Sony a lot of flack, but you could tell the CEO's happy they've been given a lot of trust with the IP and that PlayStation hasn't dictated or told them how to run Helldivers 2. I've seen comments on my channel where some players claim Sony's calling the shots and blaming them for certain changes, but that doesn't seem to be the case, at least not from what the CEO said, right? Plus, Sony and Valve have been teaming up to lift some of those blocked regions due to the PSN link requirements from last year. I broke that news 2 months ago. Either way, it's great to see the studio and developers staying in control. Moving along, we do have a response from one of the designers, Team Lando, that said this right here. I helped build the Sickle, it's like a child to me. I would know if its size changed. First off, I just want to say I know the whole entire thing going on right now is not a bug, it's just more of a joke from Arrowhead, but he actually helped create the Sickle, which is really cool. I didn't even know that. So yeah, right there, that's interesting. If you don't know what I'm talking about when it comes down to the large weapons, then check out this video right here. I should have included it in the last video, but I just decided to leave it out. Nonetheless, you can tell that these, basically all of the weapons have either shrunk or are enlarged now. It's crazy to see. I actually have a clip from one of my Discord members right here. I'll actually show him on the channel. But yeah, shout out to him and shout out to everyone that informed me about it last time. Crazy stuff. Lastly, for today's video, we have the top 3 comments. As always, if you Helldivers would like to be featured on the video, all you have to do is comment below. The first top comment comes from Crixus2580. Pretty sure the laser reloading was the Quasar cannon. After the first shot, it would automatically charge itself on your back so you could draw and shoot instantly. Now it doesn't, and I kind of miss it. So that was actually an issue that I talked about previously in a different video, but I didn't realize the patch notes was talking about the whole entire Quasar cannon bug. But yeah, thank you so much for letting me know. And I kind of miss it too. The second top comment comes from MilesM2025. The Jet Brigade is back. Yes, it is back, and we've got to put an end to them. We've actually got to find the factories and destroy all of them. I think that would be a great idea. The last top comment comes from Zombie Hunter 360. The Eruptor one-shotting chargers on release was because of a charger desync armor bug. It didn't just affect the Eruptor. You could kill a charger with a pistol if it desynced enough. Didn't know that. But it turns out the bug that I talked about in yesterday's video turned out to be an actual bug. It wasn't a nerf or anything like that, so they're going to resolve that soon enough. Well, thank you guys for watching this video. If you can, support the channel. I really would appreciate it if you tap the like button and subscribe if you feel like the video was good enough for you. I also appreciate everyone that's currently a member on the channel. I appreciate the support so much. It truly means a lot to me. And thank you to everyone that stops by to lurk, comment, and do all that good stuff. I appreciate y'all too. I'll see y'all in the next video. Thanks for watching.